Whenever you'd like to begin.
Okay, cool. All right, well, thanks for being here again, guys, and for everybody who's just watching it on recording. So today the plan is basically to go through like the kind of rough agenda that or rough itinerary that they've put forward for us, which I'm super excited about that this year. You guys hopefully are gonna have experience that none of these groups have had like since I've been doing this, and that groups like very rarely have had preceding that, and then some of like the more standard stuff you guys should get as well. And then I'll just kind of open up the field for questions. And then once you guys have kind of exhausted that, hopefully you all can get a pretty decent idea of like, is this something you want to do? Is this not something you want to do? And then we can get your information over to Mason. And then once I have actual numbers, I can reach out to the travel company and we can get quotes. So um, the agenda that they sent over to me. So I'll pull it up. Okay, so like here's the proposal. So, and if you guys should still be able to see me because I'm just changing my screen, but if you can't, let me know. So we're looking at in-country dates of the 14th of July to the 29th of July. So it's going to be like 16 days, 15 nights. We would leave from Kansas City on the 13th of July. We would get back to Kansas City on the 30th of July. When we flew in, we would land at the airport and then we would actually stay at a hotel that's attached to the airport. So we did that this past year and it was super seamless and like honestly really nice. We could just kind of get to the hotel, get checked in, get to your room. We all kind of ate dinner in the same area and then people went to bed. Dinner is not included, but like breakfast the next morning would be. Dinner, I want to say was probably like $10 a person, and like that could get you like a whole pizza, or I want to say they had like steaks if you wanted them for probably like $15 or something. So really not expensive at all. Um, and actually, I'm going to do split screen real quick. So if you guys are asking me questions, I can see them. Um,
Dr. DeGasper, I don't
yeah,
know if you're sharing at the moment, actually.
I'm not intending to.
Oh, okay,
Um,
perfect. Just making sure.
no, it's just an email, so I'm just kind of reading it off for you guys.
Okay.
But I'm split screening so that if somebody like raises their hand or pops up, I can see you guys too. Um, And then, so we'll be in camp for 14 nights. We are going to be doing like rhino procedures again. So we've done that pretty much every year. Well, we have done that every year. So we'll go to a big national park, and the vet will go up in a helicopter, and they fly around to try to find some rhinos that we're going to put in microchips. We're going to ear notch them as a form of identification, take genetic information, and then give them some different medications. And so that's oftentimes we're doing like either young adults or like a cow-calf pair, which is super cool to see the calf rhinos. So they've got that booked for 5 rhinos is what it says, which is typically going to be like a morning of work. And that's like, I mean, you're in the middle of nowhere, driving fast on dirt roads, trying not to get ripped up by thorns, and then jumping off the trucks and running to rhinos. So it's super cool. We are going to include the giraffe vaccination by helicopter again. So everybody will get a chance to get up in the helicopter and dart some giraffe. And then what they've added this year, they tried to do this last year and they weren't able to, so I'm not going to 100% promise it this year, but we should be able to work with an elephant. So last year the landowner was talking pretty heavily with the like manager of that national park to try to get us to work with an elephant, and it looks like they've booked that for us this year. So that's a huge thing that we have not done previously. I think the last time anybody worked with an elephant would have been like 2019, and it just is going to be super cool. I don't know exactly what we'd be doing with them, potentially like collaring an elephant, or taking a collar off. Those GPS collars are run by batteries, although now they're starting to have them solar powered, but either the elephants can outgrow them or they can become defunct and then you got to change stuff. So, either way, potentially the chance for working with an elephant, which would be super cool. Um, then when we're doing like the local, like the normal kind of small game stuff, if you will, which is all still big game, it's tons of buffalo work, it's tons of antelope work. If we can sneak some predator stuff in, we will. Like previously, we've worked on a wild dog once, we've done cheetah work. It just kind of depends on what pops up. We almost did a honey badger last year, which would have been interesting. But it also includes an afternoon game drive at two different national parks. So you get two game drives, and then it includes all of the food, and then like there's a driver that will kind of take us to where we want to go. And then if we can, we would do what's called a lion call up. So at night, we would drive out into that same big national park, and then they would play lion calls, and they would have bait to a tree to draw in lions, and then dart those and work on them. That one is very much like dependent upon the lions and the organization that we work with. Like, we did it the one year, then the next year the group was super into doing it, and unfortunately the lions were like up in the mountains, and so they wouldn't come down, and so we didn't go and do it because otherwise you're just sitting out in the cold for like 8 hours and nothing happens, which is no fun for anybody. And then there's a wild dog experience that we did one year that I'm really trying to get us to go and do again, but that's also dependent upon the animals. There's an organization called the Waterberg Wild Dog, I think it's initiative, that they work on preserving wild dogs, which are an endangered species. So they work with local farmers to not shoot the dogs, because those dogs will prey upon the game species that they're raising. And so they try to get different like groups like us to donate game meat to feed those dogs, and not to like make them tame, but just so that they're less likely to go and kill a bunch of somebody's gazelle. Um, and then Yeah, all your food pretty much throughout are is included. And then pretty much the only things that are not included are like drinks. If you want like alcohol, you would purchase as we're like out and about that you could bring back to camp. There's a laundry service that's not paid for, but it's not very expensive. And then you're gonna need travel insurance, you're gonna need your flights, you're gonna need um, that sort of stuff. So the range is probably going to be somewhere between like just below 6,000 to maybe closer to like 6,500 or 6,600, depending upon like how many people go. So the more of you that go, the cheaper that trip becomes. And if I have a good idea of like how many people are like, look, like I really am interested, I really just need to know the numbers, then I can get those numbers over to the travel agency, and they can look and they can say, okay, here at 15 people, 14 people, 13 people, 12 people, and or all the way down to 10 people or whatever. And then you guys can kind of have a range to say like, okay, this is where it's gonna be. It just depends on who decides to go or who doesn't decide to go. So that's a pretty good itinerary, with like three big game experiences with the giraffe, with the rhino, with the elephant. The elephant should be super cool. I always kind of preface this by saying that like it is Africa. And so things are going to change just like they do in a daily clinic environment. You never quite know exactly what's going to happen, and sometimes situations don't pan out the way that you want them to. So I never really promise that we're going to do all of those things that are on the itinerary. But like the rhinos, we've always been able to do, and there shouldn't be a reason we couldn't do those. The giraffe, we for sure will do unless like the helicopter blows up or something. The elephant, I think there's a probably a 75 to 90% chance that we do. But we had it on the agenda last year, and then that kind of fell through. But it was with a different group, so we're hopeful. I'm hopeful that this year that really does pan out. Um, so has anybody come up with any questions? I know you've had a couple of months now to like think through things. Does anybody have any questions about either logistics or the work while we're over there, or even just the main mundane stuff?
So
I have a quick
that
question.
Yeah,
You mentioned travel insurance. Did you say that was included in the price and through the travel agency, or that was our own through our own like health insurance?
it's well, so I would say like the health insurance and the travel insurance are probably lumped together, but it's going to be a separate fee. They have a guy who we can connect you to who can get that for you, but it's going to be a separate fee, not included in that figure I quoted you. And so you definitely want to get trip insurance. Like we had, God, and I hope this never happens again, but we got stuck in that glitch a couple of years ago. And so we were like at the airport ready to leave. And then the airport software shut down, and we lost like 5 days out of the trip. And so everybody who had trip insurance got like a prorated amount back from their insurance company. So I can't recommend that enough because crazy things have happened, like COVID. Like we had to cancel two trips just because of COVID. And then when you're getting your travel insurance, you want to make sure that it does include health insurance overseas and that it includes like airlifting you to a hospital if needed, and then repatriation of remains, which means that if you die, your body gets brought back. Otherwise, that's pretty expensive. Obviously, that's not something that I expect to have happen or want to have happen or have experienced previously, but you gotta have that.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
I had a question as well. For
Yeah, go for it,
the
Laura.
6,000 or the 6,500 that you quoted us, is that including the potential flight, or is that like just for the experience of being there and the flight would be added onto that?
Just for the experience of being there, the flight would be added on to that. If a bunch of you guys go, it may get cheaper than that, but like that's the rough ballpark that I've kind of heard so far. Which is why that's part of why I want to get a move on and why I'm glad that we're having this meeting now, because if we wait a long time to book those flights, they're going to get more and more expensive.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome. And then we had a question from a message um, from Michaela. So the vaccinations are gonna be based on the CDC guidelines, but they're not really changing significantly. The big things that I kind of tell everybody to like talk to their doctor about are antidiarrheal medication, um, so like doxycycline. If you think that you get exposed to a tick-borne illness and you're feeling sickly, like that can be a big help. You'll have to make a determination on if you want to take anti-malarials based on like your body's sensitivity to those sorts of drugs, which you may or may not know. There's not a lot of malaria activity in that area, and all the locals like they don't take it and they don't feel like anybody needs to, but um, I do. It doesn't bother me at all to take that medication, and so I just would rather be safe than sorry. Vaccine wise, you don't need yellow fever. You will need to be, you need to get typhoid and make sure that that is up to date. And you guys probably don't have typhoid. And then I'll answer that one in a second. Um, and then like all your hepatitis vaccines. So it's pretty standard stuff. Typhoid's usually the one that people need to get as extra. Um, and then you definitely do need to have a passport if that's the question from Emily. And so if you're gonna get a passport, you definitely want to get a move on that because they can take a little bit to get them to you. So I'll just look it up real quick. And you'll need that for booking probably. So US passport application typically takes 4 to 6 weeks for routine service and 2 to 3 weeks for expedited service, which is like an extra 60 bucks. So I would probably do the expedited if you don't have a passport. Um, and then you do need to make sure that that passport does not expire within 6 months of when you go into South Africa, which is, I think, part of what Michaela was saying there. So that's what you got. Did that answer the question, Emily? So there should be, oh, let me copy and paste the link real quick. So you'll apply online. Oh, it's a direct message. Sorry. Okay, to everybody. So you'll apply there and then yeah, do expedited and then you're gonna have to like go and get passport pictures taken. So you can do that at like a CVS or a Walgreens. And then yeah, just get that submitted ASAP. Because you are gonna come up probably tight on the timeline here, but we'll do everything that we can to work with that and work through that. But yeah, get on that. You're welcome. Other questions from other people? Is
Oh,
there,
I had one
yeah,
more question.
please.
I just know from knowing the people that are interested in the experience, what would they do if people have like dietary restrictions for, I guess, the
Yeah.
trip necessarily?
Yep. So we have like I guess I'll say like a personal chef who's there who stays at camp with us, and they take dietary restrictions into account. So like we've had people who've been gluten free, we've had people who have been dairy free, and like he'll like make the main meal for everybody, but then there will be like a separate dietary specific meal for the other person. And then when we have like pack lunches and stuff like that, they do the same thing there. So they've been super cognizant of that, um, and they're very respectful of it. So it's never been an issue for us. And I think we've done vegetarian as well. I don't know that we've done vegan yet, but I'm sure they would accommodate it.
Okay, perfect. Well, that
Yep.
that was my next question actually, the vegan part. Thank you.
Yeah, I have no doubt that they would accommodate that. I don't know the full level of variety that you would get with food over there at the vegan level. But they would, I mean, they're really trying to give us like a 5-star experience. So they would do everything they could to make that
I'm
a
okay
good
with
a
beans
good
and rice,
experience.
really.
I'm sorry.
I said I'm okay with beans and rice, really.
Are you vegan?
Yeah, I'm vegan.
Cool. Okay. So, yeah, they definitely like, I mean, there's always lots of vegetables like offered, or oftentimes there are, so they would definitely figure it out. And yeah, I mean, you could do beans and rice, but spice it up more than that. Um, is there anything like animal wise anybody is specifically wanting to work with that hasn't been mentioned so far?
I had a separate question, if
Yeah,
nobody else does. Um, I guess, s- oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was focusing on something else.
that's okay.
I might come back. Oh, it was about the dates. I was looking at my notes because I'm taking notes down for this.
Yeah.
So the dates you said it started on July 15th, was that correct?
14th is when we get in country and we would leave on the 13th.
Okay, so leave on the 13th. Perfect.
Yes. And then we should get back stateside on the 30th.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, so that's a good amount of time in country for sure. Yeah, 2 weeks and just a little bit. Cool. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Well, I'm really looking forward to it. I hope that you guys all can come. It's a super cool experience. Like you'll have memories here that you will never, ever, ever forget. It really, truly is a trip of a lifetime. And like every year there's one moment where like somebody says like that right there, like that was worth the entire trip for me just to like do and experience that one thing. And oftentimes it's getting like hands on a rhinoceros in the wild in the middle of Africa. So it's a super cool thing. I hope you guys can all come. If you have any questions, please feel free to email me. Otherwise, I know Mason is going to send out a little form, it sounds like, for you guys to kind of put down that you're interested. And then I should be able to definitely get you guys a pretty, like a good price by the end of the week. And then we can hopefully get the ball rolling on getting flights booked and all that stuff. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yep, absolutely. Have a good night. Good luck with this IP.
Thank you, you too.